Chapter 4, Coaching Skills. Leading your people to perform beyond their expectations. I remember my boss telling all of us supervisors that we would need to become coaches in the new team-based management strategy. Instantly, I had a flashback of me coaching my daughter's softball team the summer she turned 8. That was one of the longest summers of my life. I sincerely hoped coaching adults would turn out to be much easier than coaching 8-year-olds. A bearings manufacturing plant supervisor. Kelvin began his new duties as a supervisor with less than an all-star lineup. Of the 12 individuals working in his department, only 3 had more than 5 years of experience, and 2 of those individuals had a negative reputation. Most of his employees had worked in other departments prior to the reorganization of the company. For the first few weeks, Kelvin tried to just keep everyone busy and on task. He soon determined, however, that he needed to really understand what skills and knowledge his people had. He figured this would help him to direct the work to individuals who were most capable of handling it. Kelvin met privately with each employee to ask about his or her past work experience. When he met with his 3 experienced employees, he commented that he would need their participation to help educate the other employees. When one employee stated that he wasn't paid to train employees, Kelvin calmly reminded him that the customer didn't care if he felt that way or not. The customer wanted quality results, and better results are produced by a group of people working together as a unit. For the next several months, Kelvin spent a lot of time assisting employees, pointing out little things they could do to improve their efforts. 2 of the 3 more experienced employees provided much of the on-the-job instruction that was needed. The third one continued on his negative track. Kelvin counseled him on 2 different occasions and finally formalized the process of progressive discipline as outlined by his company's corrective action policy. Though Kelvin's department didn't see any miracles in the first few months, his people began to see that Kelvin was a little different from past supervisors. In fact, during one of his meetings with a new employee, she called him a coach. Although Kelvin had never considered himself a coach, he liked the meaning behind it. Soon all his employees began referring to him as coach. Coaching, the supervision model of the 21st century. For some people, coaching conjures up mental images of famous athletic coaches from professional sports. Names like Vince Lombardi or Tom Landry might come to mind from professional football. College basketball fans probably think of John Wooden from the University of California at Los Angeles, UCLA, or Bobby Knight from the University of Indiana. Many of the high-profile professionals and college coaches impress observers with their handling of pressure or the way they get 100% effort from their players. Many of the methods used by athletic coaches can also be used in the workplace. For example, planning daily or weekly work schedules is just as important for the supervisor as planning practice schedules is for the basketball coach. Developing work goals and action plans is just as critical for the supervisor as developing team goals and game plans for the football coach. Good coaches must possess the leadership qualities necessary to bring together many different personalities, attitudes, values, and expectations and mold them into something greater than the sum of their individual strengths. Supervisors must view themselves and their efforts in the same spirit as they move into the future. Successful coaches must be able to lead their players to do things that they may not feel able to do on their own. They must be capable of gaining the trust of their individuals on their team, be willing to invest great time and energy into their players, and be ready to approach problems with honesty and hard work. In their role as coaches, good supervisors lead people to perform beyond their expectations. You'll have many opportunities to make believers out of those employees who would rather give up. As the coach, you must learn to drive employees beyond what they ever believed they were capable of accomplishing. You may wonder who in the world would want to take on that kind of coaching responsibility. It may sound like it would take a reincarnation of Vince Lombardi, Sigmund Freud, and Albert Einstein to pull off the kind of coaching just described. Before going any further, let's take a few steps back to examine the forces that have been at work in the marketplace over the last few decades and that make coaching skills a necessity for the 21st century supervisor. Your primary role in the 21st century. In Chapter 1, we address some of the challenges that started taking place in many organizations in the late 1970s. Over the past 10 years, many companies have continued to reduce their workforces choosing to be lean and mean rather than fat and broke. There are a few resources listed at the end of this chapter that address the organizational growth trends and reductions. As an organization reduces its number of employees, a greater amount of responsibility is placed on its remaining people. In addition, at the same time organizations have been downsizing, customers have been increasing their demands for better quality, faster service, and lower prices. Many organizations need speed. In the workplace, speed is the delivery of a product or service to the customer faster than the competition, with the same or better quality, and at a price competitive with the marketplace. For a moment, put yourself in the shoes of the customer and consider the following situation. You purchase toner for your department's copy machines and printers. Two sources for the toner are available. Both sources are competitively priced and offer about the same quality. However, supplier A can have the toner to you within 24 hours if you are placing an order. Supplier B requires a minimum of 3 days to deliver the toner. If these were your choices, which supplier would get your business? Most customers would select supplier A. So what does speed have to do with supervision and with supervisors' need to be a coach in the workplace? Plenty. Companies have less time to provide products and services to customers than they had in the past. Customers want results now. As a result, going up and down the chain of command and fighting through a sea of red tape is no longer seen as an effective way to control an organization. Many organizations are moving greater decision-making to the lowest levels of responsibility possible, the frontline employee. Angry patients who call hospital do not want to be marched through many levels of management to receive an answer. They want whoever takes their call to provide immediate answers. It is no different for policyholders who call with complaints to a claims adjuster. Customers want answers, and they want those answers as quickly as possible, sooner if possible. Now, as the demands from paying customers escalate, some of the means that are critical to delivering faster results have also escalated. Technological advancements made in the last 20 to 30 years have become a key resource for meeting customer demands. With the computer, most organizations now process more information in 1 hour than they used to complete in a week. But as a big contribution as the computers, the internet and fax machine have made, yet another resource is the biggest contributor to future success, the supervisor. The role of the supervisor is the key that unlocks the door to still greater results. One significant strategy for increasing work performance was presented in the previous chapter. The move towards teams and teamwork will be the most significant human management strategy of the 21st century. However, teams do not suddenly appear or immediately begin to provide excellent results on their own. It takes time for teams to realize their potential and for their members to find the right rhythm of working together and to finally perform at a self-directed level. Once again, you are the main key to this transformation. You will be the teacher. You will be the trainer. You will provide the needed resources. You will also provide the coaching that keeps your team headed in the right direction, and you will make sure your team gets every bit of information, tools, money, or whatever else it needs to achieve greater results. It is coaching that will enable you to take a diverse group of people and develop them into a single unit. Coaching people in the 21st century will not be an easy task. You'll be confronted with employees who are loyal only to themselves and care little about how they might help others. Some of your employees will be overachievers, wanting greater power, authority, and money now. The changing work ethic embraced by the employees of the 21st century will provide you with your greatest people challenge. You must learn coaching skills to lead a very restless generation of workers and build them into a united team that effectively solves problems, creates faster results, and respects team members, professions, and the people of the company. Coaching employees will be one of the supervisor's single greatest contributions to the organization. But hasn't the job of supervising people effectively always required a little coaching? Absolutely. Effective supervision has always required some coaching. However, in the past, many supervisors failed to recognize the need for coaching and simply did not do it. Read the following example and make your own call. Jim was struggling. He had been with union care providers for almost 10 years and had never run across a software problem he couldn't eventually figure out. But the new customer database system was getting the best of him. He was losing patience quickly and had little humor left. Bob, his supervisor, realized that Jim was having trouble with the new system, but he didn't think it was anything to worry about. Jim will figure it out, he thought. He always does. Bob left Jim alone, thinking that time would solve whatever problem he was having, and that if he had any questions, he would surely ask. Jim, however, noticed that Bob wasn't stopping by to check on his progress, or lack thereof, and he started wondering if learning this new system was some kind of test. Jim finally got so frustrated with the new software that he accused Bob of purposefully setting him up for failure. Bob couldn't understand why Jim was so upset. He tried to pull Jim into his office to calm him down, but Jim walked away very upset, mumbling something about how he never got any support. What upset Bob was Jim's frustration and outburst in front of other employees. How could Bob have diffused the situation by assuming the attitude of a coach? First, Bob could have informed Jim from the beginning that he realized it would take time for Jim to learn how to operate the new database system. This would have provided some encouragement to Jim. Second, Bob could have stopped by Jim's work area occasionally to check up on how he was getting along and to ask if he needed any assistance. Although it is true that Jim could have asked Bob for help, it is the responsibility of the coach to check up on his or her players. Bob missed a great opportunity to assist and encourage an employee who was struggling with a new learning experience. Such an effort might not have solved the system problem, but it would have prevented Jim from blaming Bob. Although supervisors can't be expected to read the minds of their employees, sensitivity to employees experiencing new and different situations can have a great impact. Coaches must evaluate players' emotional makeup as carefully as their physical skills. Many traditional supervisors were unintentionally taught that their job was to catch employees goofing off or making mistakes. Supervisors who did not follow this pattern, who became more involved with their employees, encouraging, directing, or challenging them, were difficult to find. Moving into the coaching role may require you to re-examine what it means to be a supervisor. 21st century supervisors must become internal consultants, specialized generalists. You will need to diversify your knowledge and skills to fulfill this role and to focus your energy on enabling your employees to perform at their best. You will need to do less inspecting and more informing, less confronting and more counseling, less dictating and more facilitating. Successful coaches follow a winning process. To be more successful in your coaching effort, it is wise to follow a pattern. Successful coaches use a process that is specifically geared to produce winning results. The Pinnacle Performance Model for Effective Leadership is one such process. It is a roadmap to coaching employees that has been field tested by hundreds of supervisors. It was developed to equip you to handle performance challenges. The Pinnacle Performance Model identifies 5 levels of leadership effort. The 6th and final level reflects the increased performance results. Chapter 3 addressed the team skills you will need to lead employees toward effective team performance, including the first 3 levels shown in the figure. The following sections briefly review the first 3 levels of the model. Level 1. The first area you must address is defining the roles and responsibilities that need to be fulfilled by your department or team. Do your employees know what to do? This simple question should always be asked, especially early in the team development process, the forming stage. Remember, there may be several formal roles that each employee can fulfill that will benefit the team and teamwork. The other action required on the first level is to set standards and expectations. Once a job is defined, it is important to inform employees of the work standards to be followed and the expectations for the completion of work. Expectations might address work behavior or the amount of work to be completed. Do your employees know the results that are expected of them? This question is also simple and straight to the point. Either the employees and the team as a whole know what is expected, or they don't. If they do not know what is expected, then your role is to educate them on all standards and expectations. Level 2. Once your employees are comfortable with their assigned roles and your expectations of them, you should identify the training, tools, and resources that they need. Do not rely on orientation training to meet the needs of a new employee. Often you will need to supplement any initial training that may be provided by your organization. Do your employees know how to do the job? Do your employees have what they need to do the job? If you are spending time with your people, you should be able to answer these two questions. Depending on the answers, you may need to re-educate some individuals on company standards or processes. Just as important are your efforts to ensure your people have the right resources to complete their work. It may be important for you to become a bit of a scavenger as you seek needed resources. Be willing to do just about anything legal to secure the necessary resources for your people. Your people will follow you anywhere once they know you will take care of them. Level 3. Once the foundation of levels 1 and 2 is laid, it is important for you to examine the true potential of your employees. The 21st century supervisor must grow his or her team, stretching people a little bit at a time to expand their performance capability. You must take seriously the need to lead your people to greater results. Your organization is depending on you to accomplish this. This third level of leadership separates the supervisors who will succeed in the 21st century from those who will not. Level 3 demands that you move from being a micro supervisor, focusing on the small things, to being a macro leader, capable of seeing the whole picture. This change will require you to step far enough away from your employees to objectively assess their capacity for growth and foresee roadblocks that may lie ahead. Can your employees physically and mentally handle the task? You can answer this question only when you have stepped far enough away to objectively capture all that the employees and team as a unit are capable of performing. Don't be fooled by employees who state that they are already giving you everything they have. This third level will move you toward becoming the team's coach as you develop tactics to urge your people to higher levels of performance achievement. Failing is not bad. You will fail as a supervisor from time to time. So will your people fail at times when you challenge them to extend themselves and learn new skills and acquire more knowledge. Be prepared to catch and redirect your employees in the early stages of failure and encourage them to hang on and persevere. The other leadership component of this third level is to develop an objective process for recognizing and rewarding your people. People respond to positive reinforcement. Do you want better performance, attitudes, and behavior? Then recognize and reward them, and be consistent in applying such recognition. Do your employees understand the rewards and incentives for a job well done? Develop your own system of giving recognition to your people. Make it simple and inexpensive, but sincere and consistent. You are now ready to move to the fourth level of the model. As we have already stated, coaching may be the most significant role you fulfill as a 21st century supervisor. It will certainly demand that you strengthen your people skills.